Hi, Bone. What are you grumpy for today? What are you so grumpy for? Hi. Oh, he's so cute. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is another episode of Animal Answers. Today we are going to be talking about turtles versus tortoises and which species I prefer. I'm going to be showing you guys blue as well as koa, and I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I personally like about each species and also which species I recommend if you are looking to own a turtle or a tortoise. Obviously, it goes without saying before I even get started in this video in no way encourages any of you watching to go out and rush and get a turtle or a tortoise because they do live for an incredibly long time. They are literally precious dinosaurs, so they will live over 50 plus years, so you do have to plan what to do with them if you pass away because they will probably outlive you. They also have very specific needs depending on which species of animal that you get, whether it's a turtle or a tortoise. Turtles and tortoises are very, very different. They both have very different needs, and even depending on which type of species of each animal you get, I highly suggest thinking about it, waiting, doing your research, and then waiting some more to make sure that it is truly the commitment that you're ready to commit to for the rest of your life and beyond, because they will probably outlive you. So this video is going to focus on my preference of tortoises versus turtles. I will talk about some of the differences, but if you guys would like to see a more in-depth video of what's the differences between turtles and tortoises, I can film that video for you at a later time. But this video is probably going to be pretty short, and it's mostly going to talk about my preferences, what I like about each individual species, and what I like about owning them. So the first thing I'll point out about turtles and tortoises, whether you own either one, they do have those basic needs that they do have to have in order to live and thrive. It's basically water, a proper diet, heat, UVA, and UVB. Sorry, I'm back. Had to go get a haircut. So while those four things are the very, very, very basics of owning either a turtle or a tortoise, let's talk about some of the things that I prefer and don't prefer about each species. So for me personally, it's no secret that tortoises are my preferred pet. If I had to choose between a turtle or a tortoise, if I were considering both, I obviously choose tortoise, and we're gonna talk about why. So here is Blue, my little 2.5-year-old Herman's tortoise, and as you can see, he is the most adorable little dinosaur in the entire world. I love him so much. One thing that I definitely prefer about tortoises over turtles is that they cannot have a lot of protein in their diet. So because they can't have a lot of protein in their diet, that means that tortoises can't eat live bait like worms, bugs, crickets, and things like that. That makes feeding them, in my opinion, 10 times easier. Koa requires worms regularly. He really won't eat crickets for me, although he could eat them if he would. So worms is a huge staple of Koa's diet because he has to have a diet high in protein. Whereas little Blue here, his diet is very low in protein. It mostly consists of greens, which you can buy at the grocery store, even though I don't prefer them. He can also have Missouri tortoise pellets, which again, I don't feed him exclusively. I do prefer to feed him natural weeds, grasses, and flowers from outside. There we go, bud. Oh my goodness, are you so excited? Because that is available to me right now. It's not winter time, and also it is what's best for him and will help him have a very healthy, slow, steady growth. But also, just like Koa, he does require calcium powder and vitamin supplement. You're such a good boy. Are you ready to go back? We'll put you back, okay? I love you. I love you. Oh, he's so cute. Someone knows I'm talking about him, and he definitely wants to come out. Another reason that I personally prefer tortoises to turtles is because they are a dryer loving species. Another thing to consider if you're deciding between a turtle or a tortoise, or perhaps you're thinking about getting one, or you're just doing general research out of curiosity, is that the majority of tortoise species actually need a dryer loving climate. Some can handle more moisture and humidity than others, but the majority of them, especially Mediterranean species, do prefer it to be pretty dry and not have a humidity level over 30 to maybe 40% tops. But typically you don't want to get that humidity too far up because it can cause respiratory infections. For me personally, because tortoises are a drier living species, you can give them soaks, provide them a water dish, but that's about it as far as water goes. I am giving Blue a good little soak before we go outside. It's an actual miracle. Oh my gosh, he's drinking. That's a huge plus for me because it's a lot less cleanup and it's also a lot less maintenance in the long run. Whereas Koa, his tank typically does stay very, very moist. Also, I do have to provide him a very, very large water dish, which doesn't bother me at all, but that's because Koa is a box turtle. He's semi-aquatic, so he's not fully aquatic like, say, a red-eared slider or a yellow belly slider and other types of terrapin. If Koa was a slider or another type of terrapin, he would require like 90% water in his enclosures and then a basking spot underneath his UVA and UVB light, and that's about it. He wouldn't have substrate and things like that. He would predominantly be meant to be in the water. I personally don't prefer sliders, and unfortunately sliders are the #1 type of turtle sold in stores, which is really upsetting because they do have very, very high requirements. They are very, very messy. They get their tanks and their water messy very, very quickly, just as Tyler Ruggie. They're very, very messy creatures, and again, that's another reason why I personally prefer tortoises over turtles. Of course, I love Koa to death, and I am totally fine with the fact that he is a box turtle and he does require live worms as part of his diet, as well as a very large water dish and moist substrate because he is semi-aquatic. It doesn't bother me at all, but in general, if I were choosing between another turtle or a tortoise, like possibly in the future, I personally go tortoise every time. Of course, another thing that turtles and tortoises both require are very, very large enclosures. In my opinion, I would much rather have a tortoise table with mostly dry substrate and then just different pockets of moisture rather than a large 150+ gallon tank full of water that I do have to do weekly maintenance on. I have seen lots of people build really beautiful, like controlled DIY ponds in their backyards for their sliders. A lot of times they are so beautiful, you can find lots of ideas for that online. It's not a personal preference for me just because I think even outdoor ponds do require upkeep and maintenance, and you obviously have to monitor your turtles and things like that. But I do think that they are beautiful and definitely what's best for a turtle. If you do have a slider, I always vote outdoor over indoor. And the last reason that I personally prefer tortoises over turtles is I can take Blue out and spend a lot of time with him. Turtles typically don't really care to be held, and so you can't really spend as much time with them one-on-one like I do with Blue, my tortoise. Koa is obviously a 30-year-old rescue, so he is a grumpy little old man. He doesn't really care to be held, and though he can't close up in his shell sadly because he is deformed, the majority of box turtles can close up in their shells, so anytime a human comes near, they typically kind of box up and you can't really spend a lot of time with them. Sliders as well, because they are fully aquatic turtles, you typically wouldn't take them outside and let them walk around very much. Obviously you could, and you could spend time with them that way, but I find that it's much easier to spend time with Blue than it would be, say, a slider or a fully aquatic turtle. Koa definitely tolerates me holding him now. When I first got him, I couldn't hold him at all. He would just kick and flail, and it really stressed him out, so I didn't hold him very much, but he's doing a lot better now, as you can see. Obviously, I love Koa to pieces. He was my first turtle or tortoise species, so he'll always have a special place in my heart. Okay guys, I think that is about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and maybe learned something new. Those are just some of the things that stand out to me in regards to owning a turtle and a tortoise and some of their differences. And of course, while I do prefer the care of tortoises over turtles, I still love turtles with my whole heart. I love Koa to pieces, but I thought that I would make this video just to show you guys some of the differences and things that I've noticed from owning both different types of species. If you guys would like to see a full in-depth video on all of the differences and comparisons between a tortoise and a turtle, let me know in the comments down below and perhaps I can make that video for you guys. It'll probably be a lot longer than this one, so keep that in mind. If you guys enjoyed this video of me explaining why I prefer tortoise care over turtle care, feel free to subscribe down below and also hit the notification bell. I will see you guys in my next video. Be kind. Bye.